So are we live? I don't see it didn't refresh for
Repeat.
mine. I think we are. Oh, yeah, I see Dak in the chat. What's going on, Dak?
Yo,
Okay, yeah. So
yo.
we're good.
Yeah, we're
All right,
live.
everybody in here, make sure you like the stream. I'm gonna wait for a few people to come in here. I see Dak in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, bro. We'll definitely get Dak in one of these streams eventually. I know Dak. This guy is a guy who loves to look into the nitty gritty details of YouTube and content creation. So we'll definitely get him. Y'all see Eden's in the chat. Majin Crow Vex. What's going on, everybody? All right, so we have a very special guest today. We have Chestnut Tanuki, and a great friend. And we're gonna be basically going through her entire story of how she got into content creation, how she started, when she started picking up steam. Just kind of getting the whole timeline and everything. And then at the very end, we'll be answering any kind of super chats, any questions that you guys have in the chat. I get a lot of questions about how do you get into content creation? How do I start my YouTube channel? How do I do this? How do I do that? Constantly on Discord, on Instagram, people hit me up. And I love to help you guys and give back to you guys, something that I'm passionate about. So I thought like doing this series with different people, it's the best way to do it because I'll be honest, I'm very limited with my time. But here you guys can ask your questions. You can ask from people who have been doing it, who have been grinding for quite some time, who know what the ins and out of what they're doing. So if anyone has any kind of, it could be specific, it could be general advice. This is what we're here for. And I see chat going crazy right now. I see 3-day trip. What's going on? Sway in the chat. So yeah, if you guys have any, if any questions that you have throughout the stream, we'll be answering them at the end. From me and Chestnut, if you got something specific for one of us, make sure that you specify that in the chat. So got to get Crow in here so he could teach everybody how to procrastinate. Listen, man. There's a few things that Crow can teach you for sure. How to procrastinate, how to instigate, and a few other things as well. But yeah, all right. So Chestnut, how's it going, man? Like, how's your day going so far?
It's been going pretty good. Thank God, because I had to work earlier today. So like I'm happy that I was not stuck at work all day and I was able to get home, which has been amazing. But then I've been editing, and that's all I've been doing like all day.
Just been grinding, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I grind all the time. I edit a video like every day. I try to edit like 3 videos a day, but it's impossible.
Nah, see, especially because you do. Well, we'll get into this, but for you do short form content, so it's like you gotta be posting way more consistently, right? So it's like it's a little bit different. But I could definitely see where you gotta drop a video every. Well, how often do you usually post?
I post every day.
Every single
Um,
day.
Yep, every day I post. I usually post at the same time every day, and then sometimes I try to post twice a day. When there's some cool
Nice.
or interesting things. So sometimes like on chapter reviews days, I post twice a day, but consistently I post every day around like 1 o'clock.
I mean, that I'll say this: consistency is one key, right? Like if we're talking about content creation, that is like definitely one way to go about it. You can have some channels that rarely post. Like I'll say mine, I don't post that much, but consistency is like if your videos are not top tier, like it's the best idea, the best, most interesting video. Consistency is like okay, now you get better and you get more reps in. It's like you're just more accustomed to grinding that out, and like you just get better over time. So it's way better, especially in the beginning. I say consistency is very important.
Yeah,
Um,
consistency is probably like one of the most important things. But it's like you like so here's the thing, like if you do short form, some people do short form monthly, but then you can only post once a month. You know what I mean? So it's like if you start off and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna post 3 times a week, and you always post on the same days at the same time, like your algorithm works and it picks you up. But I unfortunately do daily content, so I am now stuck in that algorithm.
well, that's good. So you're short form content, and I do long form, so it's a good balance here. If you guys have any questions, very good balance because I'm not an expert in short form. I know a little bit, but I'm definitely not an expert. I mean, I've tried it out, and I wouldn't say I got too far with it, but for someone like you could speak on where I'm not as informed on short form content. But let's start from the very beginning. How did you even get into content creation in the first place? What inspired you to start? Um, what platform? Because I know you got Instagram, you got TikTok, you got YouTube as well. So like, what was the beginning stage of your content creation journey?
So basically, I was in like my final year of college, and I was like, I love YouTube. I've always wanted to be like a YouTuber, but TikTok was kind of blowing up at that point, and it just seemed really easy to pick up my phone and just kind of record. So I had just I was like, okay, listen, I'm gonna just start posting. If I want to on TikTok, I'll just kind of go in, see how it goes, and if I start getting followers and it's doing like good, I'll continue it, and if not, I'll just stop. And so like I think I was posting a lot at that point because it was so easy to just kind of record and just kind
Yeah,
of go about my day. And when you're small, you don't really get too many comments, and so you kind of go through. So I think I started in March of 2022, and I just posted. And I really wasn't taking it seriously. Some days I'd post like one video, some days I wouldn't post anything, some days I'd post like five or 10, and it's like I was just kind of doing it for fun at that point. And then I saw, people started coming in. I hit 100 followers, I had 500, and then when I hit 1K, I was like, yo, I might actually have something here. And then I started to kind of get down into it, but it was kind of just like I just kind of started it because I'd seen other people. I also saw people doing anime content, and I was like, yo, I could do that. Like I could talk about that. And I was sick of just staying in the comments, where, creators they'd be saying some whack takes, and I'd be like, yo,
so
they can be saying this stuff.
okay, okay. So so you're saying people say crazy takes, and definitely for sure on TikTok, on YouTube, you see some crazy stuff, especially on Twitter. I mean, that is like where I see the most wild stuff. But what is like when you see people saying crazy stuff? Like in my mind, I'm like, so do I have to say crazier stuff than them to get more views? Like, because when people from the outside looking in, they don't really know what to do, right? So what was something for you? It's like, do I have to say crazy stuff, or can I still be true to myself? Like, what was your opinion on that starting out, and then like how did
So
it
when I
change too over time?
Yeah, so it's interesting because when I first started out, I just said what I thought. So and I made my thing in my content that I will never say something that I don't like 100% agree with. If my mind changes, right? Like if somebody has a good argument and they change my mind, that's one thing. But if I say something that I don't believe to get views, or if I try to like purposely rage bait something that I don't 100% believe in just because I know it'll get people riled up, I'm going to be known as somebody who says stuff that's untrue, and people aren't going to take me seriously, and I'm not really going to gain a true fan base with that. So I just went through and I just said my views. And I think a lot of my content when I first started off was specifically just analysis.
Mm.
And then I kind of got a little bit more into the theory crafting, which I didn't even realize it was theory crafting at first. I just was like, oh, I just think this is going to happen in the future based on my analysis of the series. Um, and so the theories, I think, were what really kind of pushed me off in the beginning because sometimes my theories were kind of crazy. Sometimes people totally disagreed. And it was a really good point of like starting off with. But I would say that it's kind of just like what I truly believed, people just had a disagreement with because some of my takes be whack. And you know what? That's okay, and I'll own up to it. But yeah, I would say like especially like starting off, never say stuff that you don't 100% believe in because it just comes back to bite you. It really does.
Not that that's a good philosophy to stand by, because especially starting out, if you're just going for clout and you're just going for I want to say the craziest thing to get clicks, get virality, you could do that. But it's how you say you're not going to grow a true um fan base that really messes with you. And the thing is too is like people can see through it over time. At first they're like, oh, is he trolling? Is he not? Is she like, does she really believe it? But over time, you could definitely see how people move and how they think. So if like let's say like someone like JD Legend, right? Like I know he truly believes what he says. He just says it in a more entertaining and more dramatic way. But I know it's like, I know at the core of it, he still believes what he's saying. So I think he's good at stuff like that because he brings a big reaction, but and he still does it true to himself. Um,
And I
okay,
think that's like the most important thing is like if you stay true to yourself and you just like go off stuff you believe, like regardless of people and how they disagree with you, like people can prove you wrong for theories, people can say other stuff, but as long as you're just like, yo, this is what I think. People can be like, yo, your takes are bad, but I respect the opinion. And a lot of people do.
all right. So I want to go back to one thing you said. You said when you first started, right? You weren't getting too much traction. You were just posting videos and. But what is it that's in your mind, and what is it inside of you where it's like, I'm not getting any views, or I'm getting maybe a couple hundred views, even a couple, maybe sometimes less. I mean, I know for me personally, when I first started on YouTube, I was getting like 10, 20, 50, 100 views sometimes. But what is it in you where it's like, I don't care what people think about this. I don't, I'm not. Were you even doing it for the views at first? Like, were you doing it just for fun? Like, what was your mindset of, I'm gonna just keep grinding until I pop off, or like, because I feel like for a lot of people they're afraid where they get discouraged when they first start out and they're not getting any views at all. Some people they blow up right away with their first video. I seen it with Wizard of Voice. His first video was crazy, but for most people it's not like that. For most people, you start out, you want to get and do content creation, and then you're like, nobody's watching this, what's the point? And you feel like you're wasting time because you are putting a lot of effort into it, a lot of time. So what was your mindset to keep pushing through, or was it really just like, I'm just doing it for fun and it's just I don't care about the views?
So, definitely at first, I feel like people care too much about the views. But views are they are important because they're a good gauge of how good your content is. And I feel like a lot of people have to and it's so hard to think that your content sucks when you first start. But your content when you're first starting off isn't going to be the best. And if your content isn't good, people aren't going to watch it. And so personally with me, it took me a while. Like I was increasing my production quality. I was like, yo, these videos, they should be popping off and they just didn't. And I was like, yo, what am I doing wrong? And I had to come to the realization that it's like if you're making videos and they're not getting views, like obviously when you start off, you're going to have like less views. But they should eventually start climbing. And it's like, if you make good content, people will watch. So the big thing is, it's like, yo, if you start off and your content isn't getting views, it's because your content sucks. And you just gotta figure out why. Why is it not getting views? Would you watch your video all the way through? If you don't want to watch your video, or if you get bored halfway through, or if you get bored after the first 10 seconds, that's why people aren't watching it. And so it's kind of like if you want to be a content creator, you have to enjoy the process of figuring out how to make good content. What is content that you would watch? And if you would watch that content, post it. Let's say, oh, in this video, I didn't like how I said the same word 5 times. Well, in the next video, make sure that you increase your vocabulary. And so it's kind of like constantly tweaking because even like one view more, you're like, okay, somebody else liked this versus the previous one. So instead of looking solely at like, oh, the views are like this, I'm putting so much time and effort, it's like, well, what can I do to change and grow from this? And I think if people look at it from like a learning experience, uh, it gets a lot more fun because when you start seeing the views eventually go up and you start seeing people enjoy your content more, you're like, yo, I started doing something even better. Like, look how much my content sucked before, and now look at it now. And it's fun, and it's like, yo, like my content is doing so much better. I've improved greatly, and you see that improvement and growth, and I think that's what really is what content creation is about. It's like seeing how much better your skills get. So I would say
Mm.
don't worry about the views too much at first, but also realize that it's all about improvement. Like you're working to make yourself better in editing, in talking, in analysis and theory crafting. It's all about just the improvement factor rather than, yo, I want to get famous.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what you said. For me, I always say there's a weird balance when it comes to this stuff. It's like you have to be confident to even try or even start. You already have to say I can do it, but then you have to have a certain humbleness and check yourself and say, after a certain point, why is this not getting out to as many people as possible? I mean, you can blame the algorithm, you can blame whoever you want, but at a certain point, you have to look at your own content and say, how you said, how can I improve one thing here, one thing there, and I would say like improving something small in every single video, it accumulates over time. So that's why, we were talking before, but grinding and pumping out a bunch of content at first is the best way for me that I tell people to get better, because at that point, if you're improving something every single video and you're grinding every single day, you're posting every single day, then you're improving a lot. You're improving so fast, because if you're, let's say you're just improving something on the editing side in one video, then the next day, if you do scripts, you're improving in the scripts. Thumbnails, one thing on a thumbnail every video. So it's like pumping out content like that. You're actually just focusing on the skills, not even making the content you want. You're just improving the skills that you need. And then once you get those skills, then you can really like make the content that you want, and you're really going to take off from there. So I think that's good advice. How you said, improve things, analyze your own content, analyze other people, and try to learn from other people and see what's good and what's working. Yeah, I think that's definitely good advice. So, okay, so that's how you started, and then you said so you eventually got a little bit of traction going from there. Okay, so you start from there. How does it become a thing where you link up with Hime, right? Because I see you and Hime streaming for the last year or two. I think it was the last year at least. You guys have been like a unit, a duo, streaming reactions. You guys have developed a friendship over time. So how did that start out, and really, like, what is the benefit of having someone that's also a content creator that's a friend? Like, how did you guys grow from each other, and how did that whole situation go on?
So it's kind of crazy because we actually met on like a podcast. Like me and Hime just kind of met talking about One Piece. And, at first I was like, yo, you know what I mean? There's another girl that likes One Piece. Like it's pretty cool to find somebody that you vibe with. But like as time went on and as we kept talking, we realized that we just kind of vibe together. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the internet, is that you can find people that you would never find in your like regular daily life. Like I would have never met somebody like Hime anywhere where I live. So just like kind of connecting with her online, we had a lot of similar interests. She also at that time was like kind of learning how to speak English, and so I was kind of helping her, and just even like the conversations that we were having were like helping her like learn more. I mean, now she's like a yap queen. Like she could go off for days. Like her Twitter threads are like college essay papers. But it was just interesting because like, she also did like a different side of content than I did. She was like more comedy focused, and I always wanted to get more into like the comedy focused side, but I was always very analytical, just doing regular theory content. And like as time went on, like our content just kind of grabbed a lot from each other. And eventually, because she really liked doing the podcast, and I was like, yo, why don't we just make a podcast? Like we'll just every Tuesday we'll do a video and we'll just have fun. And it was really cool because once we both started like hunkering down and doing stuff, we ended up not only becoming closer, it's like Hime is my best friend, like IRL too, like me and Hime are like besties. But we just decided that we wanted to do content together, and this was our hobby. Yeah, and we really enjoyed it. And just having somebody like Hime that she understands what it's like to go through internet drama or internet beef. She understands what it's like to have a video do bad or a video do really good. And so just having somebody there to like not only support you, but also just constantly be in your corner when things go bad, when things go good. It's really nice. And also knowing that she's like there consistently. And I think that's why it's so nice that we do like all of our streams together and that we alternate on different channels, because we're growing both of our channels, but at the same time, we're always there to help each other out. So it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like I've seen it. I've met you guys in real life. I've seen it. You guys are really like close. Like it's like really like a true friendship. And I was a bit surprised because I'm like, I come from a place where I was never like into this whole internet stuff. For me, it's always been like real life. And so when I see people me on the internet, I met friends people on the internet too. Dak Sake, people from my own friends, and just before One Piece, I never really talked to people about this stuff on the internet. So when I see like people like you and Hime so close, it's kind of an interesting thing, because I always think like internet stuff is fake, right? That's my original perception of it. But then I see it's like, nah, this is like true friendship. Like it's like true loyalty, true qualities of a friend. Um, but I do think with you guys, it's like okay, so now you have someone else that's also by your side. It's like you can grow faster together. And the reason why I brought it up was because for me and my own situation with Wizard of Wars, it was the same thing. It's like we were growing together constantly. Like we were, if he learned something, he would tell me, and then if I learned something, I would tell him. So we were growing together, and it really like improves you as a content creator, and it like it doubles the rate that you're gonna improve and that you're gonna grow. And also, how you said like having a friend that's also there, so it's not just like boring and stuff. It's like because some of this stuff can get boring, but if it's like a friend that you're working with, now it's like, all right, now it's just fun, it's competitive, and it's like, but it's like a fun dynamic. It's not like competing to like because we hate each other. It's competing in a friendly way. I don't know if that's how your situation was, but either way, I think having a friend there by your side is gonna help you grow tremendously.
Yeah, I would agree that I think that I probably wouldn't have continued doing content if Hime wasn't always supporting me and helping me through. Because there were times where I was like, yo, I'm getting a lot of hate for like a take I had. Or people with dog, like just be dog walking me. And I'm like, yo, well, I didn't even think it was that bad. And you get like a lot of hate. And it's sometimes nice to have just somebody who understands you and is in your corner like that. But it's also like, I enjoy my streams with Hime because like she's just my friend. So just being able to like hang out with her and stuff. And it's like, we're even thinking of like, like moving in and being like apartment buddies and having like a podcast like IRL together. And it's like I would have never done this if I didn't take the first step of like content creation. And I think that's probably one of the best things about content creation too, is I get to meet people and I've met people that have changed my life forever. And it's crazy.
Yo, a content house with Chestnut and Hime would go nuts. Like that, yo, that would be like, because if you think about it, right? So now if you guys live, if you did live together, then it's even more of like, yo, we could really like, because I feel like a lot of times with content is a lot of things of planning, scheduling, and like, you have to work around people's schedules. If you guys live together, then it's really like you can really throw on a camera and go whenever you want. It's a lot easier.
And like we're thinking about that. Probably won't happen until she gets her citizenship because unfortunately she lives in Canada, but eventually.
Okay, so you brought up something interesting, right? So she's like comforting you and helping you through some moments because the reality is when you do content, it's like you get a lot of pushback from certain times, and then you're gonna say something that's gonna piss a few people off. Um, how do you personally deal with hate comments? How do you deal with backlash, right? Because especially on shorts on TikTok, especially TikTok is crazy, bro. Because I see you posting something, and I see people just sending. I don't know TikTok what it's called, the exact name of it. It's like if you post something that somebody's replying to your thing in another video, what is that called?
Oh, like a stitch. Yeah, I get a lot of those.
So I see that, and I'm like, yo, people are coming after. How do you deal with that kind of that negative feedback?
So here's the thing. Sometimes it gets to me. And I'll admit it. Like sometimes I get really mad. And I like especially when I see something and I'm like, yo, not only are they taking me out of context, but it's like I think this video is like super rude, but you can't really do anything about it. A lot of people, you know what I mean? They don't really think about what they're posting. They just, they see that I'm a girl, and unfortunately, girls increase the views, especially on TikTok. And I've known this firsthand, where it's like I would make a take that everybody else was making, but I would be the only person to get stitched. And it sucked because at first I was just like, yo, was I really saying anything different? Until other people were like, no, I've actually said stuff worse, but uh, that's the game and that's how it's played. And it sucks because like obviously I also have like boons to being like a woman. Like my live reacts will get more views because people like seeing girls react to anime, but it's like at the same time like I feel like I get a substantially increased amount of hate for, having being very opinionated. And I do get a lot of sexist comments. And I think that that's the really big thing is like I get a lot of people who I've had like R word threats, I've had death threats, I've had I've had a lot of people basically just say like tons of sexist stuff, like, "I'll get back in the kitchen," like, "Who gave you rights?" And it's like, yo, I just said that I didn't, I liked One Piece better than Naruto. But the way that I deal with them, and I've stopped self-internalizing them, is that, and this is gonna sound so weird, but I have like this celebrity mindset where it's like, they wouldn't be saying this unless they're so like into my content that they have the need to feel like they have to say that. Like they want to get my attention. And you just kind of have to treat them as NPCs. There are some people who support you and they are fantastic, but if you don't let the hate feel like they're not coming from, like, if the hate comes from a real person and like somebody's actually saying it, it hurts and you can internalize it. So you kind of have to distance the people who are saying it behind the screen to like they're not real. Because you're like, yo, that's why so many people on Twitter, it's like, yo, this person isn't real. Like they're not doing it. Because if you believe that somebody who's like an actual person would say such hurtful and harmful things to you, you get messed up. Like it really can mess you up in the brain. So I'm just like, yo, these people aren't real. Like people who do hate, it's like, yo, either they're not real or they can't read. And so that's how I've been dealing with it.
You know, it's interesting because I still remember the time that you told me, and you said because you're a woman, you get treated differently on the internet, and I never really thought of it like that. You know, I'm not a woman, so I can't really know from that perspective. But when you told me that, I really started like noticing it more because, you know, I see the comments that you get now, and at first I'm just like, oh, it's just a troll, right? But then I started thinking like, I don't really like get the same level of vitriol that someone like you, and I started noticing with other creators as well. So it really like opened my eyes to it. Um, and I would say this for you, right? Because you know this is going to a whole different territory. We don't have to go too deep into this, but I think there's a difference, right? If you're like let's say you're someone who's okay. I see this a lot on Twitter. I see it on YouTube sometimes. But let's say you're a creator who's doing like OF content constantly, right? And that's your main thing.
Hmm.
There's a different like to me there's a significant difference that you have to acknowledge in your mind, right? There's someone who's grinding and doing true like content creation, like really putting in the work, and then there's someone else who's promoting a different side of that. And I think there's a different level of respect that, for, at least for me, I have a different level of respect for you because you like for you, you're like, nah, I'm a stay true to content, and I'm gonna do it this way. You know, I'm not exposing my body and doing certain things, and I know there's also a temptation for that as well because you could easily do that, and I'm sure it would bring a completely different audience, but so it's like things I never really had to think about, but for you, I know it's like stuff that you have to think about, and I would say this too is like when someone like you gets those comments, I feel like they're definitely unfair. If it was someone that was doing like OF content, let's say, it's still a mean comment, right? Don't get me wrong, but I'll say there's a little bit more of a understanding of why they're getting those comments.
I would say that it's sometimes so hard because it's like, especially when people, they say the really misogynistic comments, and it's like nobody deserves them, right? And I think that we both agree it's like, nobody deserves them, and it's like I would say like I would expect it under like, an OF like model. Like I would expect those comments a lot more just because that type of content brings a different audience. And I think that that's what you're kind of getting at, where it's like you would expect it because of the audience of like people who are watching that. A lot of them will hold views that aren't very nice. And I would agree on that front that, I mean, obviously not right whatsoever, and I wish that people didn't. But unfortunately, when you're doing certain types of content, you expect a certain demographic of people. And I think that that's the big thing where it's like you wouldn't expect that type of demographic to be watching anime or, watching cartoons, but there's like a surprising amount of people who just hold very misogynistic views, a lot of racist views. Like I've seen it firsthand. Um, People who will body shame for some reason, which in my opinion is just like, really, bro? Especially when you look at like the people who make these comments and they're not Leonardo DiCaprio's themselves. They're not, the hottest people. And it takes everything in my body to not just go like when people insult my looks, I'm just like, okay, face reveal. Like it takes me so much to do because it's like, you know what I mean? Like people will be like, oh, like these people are a 3 out of 10. It's like me and Hime in the picture. I'm like, Hime's a 3 out of 10, really, bro? Like, So it's like you know that they're doing stuff to harm you, to make you feel bad. And it's just it sucks because you don't expect anime to have this demographic. You don't expect One Piece to have this demographic. The entire show is about like equality and putting people on an equal footing, but
Yeah.
unfortunately those people exist and you just kind of have to ignore them. And the more people you bring into the One Piece fandom that are um not of this demographic, which is like people who are women, people who are of different races, who have different views of different sexual orientations. Like the bringing those people into a fandom will eventually push out the people who are racist, misogynistic, who are body shaming. Like the more that we're able to like fill the space with people and fill it with voices who are positive and non-toxic, it becomes a better place. But yeah, it does suck that there's just like you wouldn't expect that demographic of people to be watching One Piece, but unfortunately there is.
All right, so I want to address a few things in the chat. So we got a few questions. How do you balance income and paying editors, employees if you are a beginner? Okay, so you can go and then I'll go off. I'll go kind of off of what you say.
Yeah, I fund everything myself. It's I mean, it's hard. Like I've sunk a lot of money into content creation. Now I have made some money back. I'm not gonna act like I haven't, but I've definitely have not made enough to justify how much money I've spent as a content creator. Like my camera alone is like, and my whole camera setup is probably like $2,000. I have not made that much from content creation yet. Hopefully, eventually I will. But at this point, it's kind of like I pick up shifts. I put money aside. Like I pay for my own editing program. So it's like it's an investment, which is why when people start off with content and it's not doing that well, it's like unfortunately you just got to put money aside and you just have to invest in yourself, and that's the big thing.
Yeah, I would say so. Okay, so balancing income and paying editors. I think there's two ways you can go about it. Excuse me. The first way you could do it is like, so for me when I started, I didn't have any editors at all for like a year or two. And the thing is, you can, if you have the time, right? I had a lot of time at that time, so you can, if you have the time, I would say try to edit as much as you can on your own. Try to do as much as you can and learn the process, learn all these things on your own, and do as much as you can on your own at first. Because the thing is, if you have time, then I mean, you might as well use it. If you don't have any time, right, you're working a lot, you got a lot of stuff with your family, you got a lot of personal things going on. So in that situation, then maybe you have a little bit extra money to spare, and then in that situation, you can go and find an editor, and I mean that will also, I would say, when you can pay for certain things like an editor, like an artist, it does help you grow faster, right? So there are certain ways to go around it. It just depends on your situation, really. But I do recommend, trying to learn things from the beginning on your own, because if you can't do it on your own, I mean, it just allows you to kind of run it more, understanding the details of what you're doing, right? Because if someone who doesn't know how any kind of editing at all, and if they're just telling them like, oh, just edit this video for me, and then like you don't even know if their editing was good or bad. So I would say definitely try things at first on your own, just for that. So another question was from Sway. How did you approach collaborating? Like, did you split the revenue from the video? Okay, so I think one thing that people don't understand, right, when it comes to collaborations, like usually there's not a pay, like I'm not paying Chestnut to be here, right? She's coming with her own time, and that's why I appreciate her time, because you can pay somebody, right? Like I could pay a big creator to come on, but usually people, they come because they either like your channel, they're just interested in collaborating with you, or another reason could be just because it's mutually beneficial for both. Like let's say I bring on like for example, I'm doing a video with Joy Girl, right? We've done collabs before, right? She's been on my channel a few times in videos, and so now I'm paying it back, not even like in a sense of paying it back, but just like I told her, if you ever need anything, I got you. So when she needs when she's doing a collab style video now, she hits me up and then I help her out. So it's kind of building relationships with people, and just helping each other out along the way. If somebody needs something, then you give them a hand. Collaborations like let's say I go on Chestnut's channel in like a month from now, she keeps the revenue, right? I don't need anything. I don't need any money from her. Um, and so for this stream, I'll keep the revenue on this side. So that's kind of usually how it goes. You don't usually pay people for collabs. That's like in a different industry, right? Like let's say you're doing like interviews or whatever. And even if you think about interviews in like a music business or some kind of other industry, usually if you're doing an interview, that person is promoting their own music. So even then, they're usually not being paid. They're going to be paid in the back end when you're listening to their music from watching that interview. So that's kind of how collaborations go. It's really just, reaching out to people, and, if they mess with you, they do. If not, I mean, some people don't like to collaborate, which it's fine. Like, I didn't like to do it at first, but I think it's just fun to meet people and kind of get more deeper into the community. So that's why I do it. What about you though? Like, what's your take on that?
So it's because like me and he may collaborate on like everything. We do not share profits from our channel. Hime has access to my YouTube channel, and I have access to hers. So we know how much like each other are making. I think there's like a way to make us like admins of like channels, and so we have it like that. So like Hime can like upload videos. She could delete all of my videos, but she's not going to because I trust her, and I could do the same, like vice versa. So we have a good idea of how much we're both making, especially like off of every videos. Like she can see how much revenue that I generate. We just don't really care about the revenue for right now. We're even thinking about like eventually maybe even doing a Patreon in which we split it, but at that point, you know what I mean? Like it would be an even split. But for right now, because we have separate channels, like we alternate pretty well, like every week as well. So the way that we alternate, it's like if I go on her channel, she keeps that revenue. She comes on mine, I keep that revenue. It does come to the point where it's like, I do have more subscribers than her now, but eventually I think Hima's gonna like overtake me and she'll be making more revenue. So it's like it'll all balance out. So I would say like, nah, I don't really care about the money as much. I just want to make enough so that I can cover my content. And I've already told Hime that I would help her if she ever needed to like, needed something, that I would help her out. And she also said vice versa too. So it's kind of just like the mutually beneficial, we're helping each other grow, sharing techniques, like coming onto the channel. But to me, the money isn't too important, especially with like collaborations. It's about reaching out and making connections rather than making money. So
I agree. I mean, if you think about like, so that's a different situation, right? With you and Hime, it's like you guys are collabing like every single day you're streaming, or every single week at least, from what I've seen. So, with me and Ors, we had something similar where it's like you have to have the discussion just so it doesn't come in between things later on. Even with, how we split up, it's like that's one reason of it. It's not like I hate the guy or he hates me. We're still close friends. But it does get tricky, especially I'll say it gets tricky the bigger you get when it comes to the financial side. With OPU, with my podcast, you have to at least have the discussion of where is the money going, where's the money coming in, just to be clear with everything. With like a podcast format with 5 different people, I mean, you definitely have to have the conversation. That's a little bit different from a typical collab, but yeah, I mean, there's just, when it comes to stuff like that, it's like it's important to discuss that with everyone. Okay, so what do you think has changed in the creator landscape since you blew up? Like, what's the difference from then to now? I'll let you go first.
I blew up. I mean, it's been like 2 weeks, so I don't think very much has changed. I think the big thing that a lot of creators do though is that they put themselves in this little box saying, I can only make this content because this is what my algorithm likes. But what I've realized is that people who watch, like, let's say people who like One Piece videos, right? The majority of people who watch One Piece also watch Jujutsu Kaisen. They also, they'll watch the new My Hero that comes out. They'll watch like a ton of other stuff. And so to limit yourself to only One Piece, yes, I think in the short term, it's going to help your channel blow up fast. Like if you just have a format that works and you grind it, it will. But also the burnout is real. And sometimes you'll make videos and they suck. And it's happened to me where it's like I do daily content. Sometimes I make videos and they suck. And I know that they suck, but you have to put it up for the algorithm. But I found that branching out and doing stuff has been not only great for the creative side, but also just great for, like just in general for like mental health. And I think that the landscape of like the algorithm, they like it when you make content that's fresh and that's good. So
Mm.
it's no longer about like, yes, consistency matters a lot. But it's also like you don't have to just stay in like that one specific algorithm forever. Like you start making videos and that's all the videos you could ever make. You can never make anything else. Like you can branch out and grow. And it's hard to like get out of that because you get so scared about ruining your algorithm. But also, I've realized that if you get out of the algorithm, it's easy to get back in if you just post consistently and do good content. And I've gotten in and out of the algorithms like multiple times now. So it's all about just like finding stuff that works and making sure that you're still being creative.
No, I do agree with that because if you think about like, so the thing is, okay, I'll say this. I don't want to like speak for you, right? Because with short form content, I've seen the trends aren't too drastically different. Um, so I can see what you're saying from that. But I would say when it comes to longer form content, there are more trendier things. Like, just for example, like the whole Mr. Beast style of editing, that loud, very fast paced style was a huge thing for the last like 4 years. But I've been noticing, like, if you look at someone like Dak, for example, I see Dak in the chat. Um, if I've seen more content being slowed down more, I've seen more analysis coming back. I've seen more, more. I think people want videos that are not so, attacking all your senses and just so over the top and ridiculous all the time. A little bit more, just kind of normal, like just normal, pacing wise, and a little bit more chill, a little bit more relaxed tone of voice. I've seen a lot of channels, they had a lot of fast paced stuff, and now they're kind of dialing that back. And so it's just like it comes with trends that you notice over time, but it's nothing too crazy. I mean, you can still make the content you want and still adapt. But at the end of the day, you're right. Like it's making the content that you want, and making videos that you're passionate about and videos that people want to see that are usually not oversaturated, because you said something that no one has seen yet, right? Something a new fresh idea, and that's a really important key, because if like that's why I don't do chapter reviews, right? Because there's already like 15 people that I know that are doing chapter stuff, so I feel like that lane's already covered. People already want their chapter reviews from certain people, and they already like the people that they like. So I mean, I could do it and I could make a decent amount of views from it, but I'd rather go find something that no one's doing and talk about that. And so yeah, I do agree with you on that side.
Yeah, I would also say that I see, especially with like shorts, it is very hard sometimes to do analysis content like well. And I've noticed like a lot that theory content does very well with shorts, and also like power scaling. Obviously, like power scaling is always the big thing because it gets a lot of interactions, but it is like I've noticed that like people who make like really good analysis content, like I have like one of my mutuals on TikTok, her name is Serena, and like they do like fantastic analysis content on Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like, yo, I don't see this because it's like just watching somebody like go from their point of view, like it's always interesting. But it's hard to make good content like that. Like it's so hard. Like I barely see people doing what she does because she's just so good at it. But I feel like, especially with analysis and really deep diving into series and going from your perspective, will always be creative and always be fresh. You just have to package it in a way where people watch it. Um, and so
Mm.
I've seen that a lot with like short form, like people who do like solely analysis, and kind of only focus on that, they always have success as long as they have a good format. And I've seen
I
that more and more.
I agree. I would even say in One Piece, you got a channel like Melon T, one of my top favorite channels right now. I mean, they do analysis content, and it's you wouldn't expect it to be like, because analysis, when I think of it, there was a time when it was going crazy, like 5 6 years ago, and it's kind of died back. But like how you said, people can still do it if they do it right, and it's good content. It's gonna win no matter what. I think Dak said that in the chat. It's gonna win no matter what if it's good. Um, all right. So how do you manage a work-life balance being in the medical field? So that's specifically to you. So you got your own personal stuff outside of content, right? You got your own life, your own jobs and everything. You got personal relationships to handle. How do you manage your own personal life and content and not get burnt out?
That's a really good question. Dak kind of said it best. I don't. Okay, so it is really difficult. I mean, I have a pretty difficult job. I guess I hate to keep bringing up Hime. She's probably sneezing like crazy right now with how much we're bringing her up. But if it wasn't for Hime like helping me through some of this stuff, because like I'll be honest, sometimes it gets really hard when I get back from work and I'm like, yo, I just had like a patient die, and it's like
Mm.
because I'm also because I'm a provider too. So it's hard sometimes when you're like, yo, I was directly involved with this patient's care. I was ordering scans, I was doing all of this. And you know what I mean? I was talking to the surgeons and we were bringing them to surgery and then the patient dies. And it's like, yo, how do you get over that? Like I still remember I have one patient and this is like gonna get super super trauma, but I had been talking to him about his tomato garden and telling him that, you know what I mean, like we'll get him back to it as soon as possible. And he went south and we just couldn't do anything. He just didn't make it. He was old, he had a really intense surgery, started looking better and then immediately got worse. And it was like it hurt, but having he made there to help me talk through it and you know what I mean, like even doing the streams are sometimes a good way to just get my mind off of it. Um I'm still trying to figure out how to really balance it because I've stopped going to the gym and it's like I really want to get back into that. So it's something that I'm gonna work on where it's like you need to have like a really good schedule. And it's why I want to eventually get to the point where I can edit like 3 videos in a day. And then on a certain day, I don't edit anything and I just, enjoy my life and just post and then ignore it. But it gets difficult because, sometimes you're like, yo, it sucks at my job. Like I have a bunch of people who are just like even today I went to work and it's like I have this one patient and she's just not doing well. And I don't know what's going on. And I'm texting back and forth with everybody, and they're asking me for help. The nurses are coming to me, and I'm just like, I've been texting the doctor and all of this stuff. And I get back home and I look at my TikTok and it's like, oh, cool. Like I have like all this hate and it's like wonderful. So it's like sometimes it's difficult and you just kind of have to ignore it and just keep going and pushing. And that's kind of what I do. I have a really good schedule. I'm trying to get on a better schedule. I'm trying to do more stuff to like decompress, but sometimes you just gotta ignore it and grind. And that's what I've been doing.
Mm. Yo, it's that's a tough. I mean, I think because for me, right? Like, so for me, I was doing college, and then I eventually got to a point where I can make a decent amount of money on YouTube. Not anything like crazy, right? Like I'm not a millionaire, but I'm enough to like where I could focus on this and just kind of take it from here. But I can just I look back to when I was doing college, and it was tough with like time management, right? Because the way I see YouTube is like, if you really want to be successful, this is basically another, at least a part time job, right? It's at least part time. The biggest creators that have gone far, most of them, not all of them, most of them, they're taking this seriously. Like they spend a lot more time than people realize. Like, for example, like for Dak, right? He's in the chat, so I'll use him as an example. I know this guy, when he makes a video, he's putting dozens of hours into a video. Um, I know when people are streaming every single day. I know when people are streaming a couple times a week, they're making a video, then doing short form content, and even if they're not editing, right? Because editing, that takes a lot of time. Even if you're not though, you still got to plan all this stuff out. You still got to. There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes. So I would say the best way to do it is like, you got to cut out all the extra distractions. Because I was having a conversation with someone who was like, man, I just I want to blow up. And I'm like, bro, you're going to college, you're working, and you're doing content, and you haven't posted really that much. So I'm like, bro, you got to cut out all the extra stuff. You got to tell your friends, like, we really can't hang out for like a few months. Like, and it's not like I don't want to hang out with you. It's more on some, I got something that I really want to do and accomplish, and it's like you got to make the priorities straight. You can't be playing like FIFA for 2 hours every day when you should have been spending that 2 hours on content instead. Because otherwise, if you think about it, if you got 1 hour every day for content, you're not going to make it. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation, especially at first when you're so far behind, when you should be spending a lot more time learning and a lot more time investing your time into all these things that you have no real like experience on. So and when it comes to burnout, like you've said it, Dag said it as well. you're going to get burnout. Like there's no way you're not going to experience it. Um, I don't know what's the best way to say it for health wise. For me, you know, I really just, if I'm in the zone, bro, I'm going until I burn out. Like that's literally how it is. You know, I can work on a video for 10 hours straight. If I'm in the zone, I'm working for 2 days straight, nonstop. Um, and there's times where I'm just, you know, I'm not feeling it and I push through it, but I might not work as much that day. So it just, you know, you gotta have your own whatever works best for you, but you still gotta be how you say consistency as far as just sometimes you gotta push through a little bit. Um, but yeah, you know, with a full time job, how you said with your situation, I mean that is tough. That is tough.
It'd be it'd be sometimes a little difficult. I think it helps, at least with me, is that I work 10-hour shifts. So I at least have one like 3 days off. And like, sometimes when I'm at work, like I'd be watching anime, like when I have like a little bit of an off period. But yeah, it can get sometimes a little bit crazy, especially with everything going on. So I always just try to, some days I'm like, I'm not gonna edit. Like I have a couple videos in the hatch right now. And then some days, like when I'm really like motivated, I'm like, okay, I have to actually get like 3 to 5 videos done so that on a day that I need like rest and a break, I could do that. I also think that getting like an editor that I can use to make videos for long form has kind of helped a bit because I know at least that I can record a video and send it to my editor and then I'm not even like half the times I'm just like, yo, I don't even need any corrections. Like I'll just post it as is. If I don't like something, I'll have him fix it the next time, which
Mm.
I've realized that too. Like sometimes it just be tough. So
I would say
just gotta keep going.
going off of that too, when it comes to editors, right? If you're handing off your projects to an editor, there are certain situations where like especially in the beginning when you're working with an editor, you got to make sure they know what you want, the style you want, certain things like but I always say like you need to finish the video. So, you know, perfect, people want perfect, right? Like but if you're working with somebody, it's not going to be perfect. You got to make the sacrifice. So now it's like they're saving you a bunch of time, but so now it's not going to be exactly how you want it and you have to live with that. Because if you're getting an editor and you're like perfecting every little tiny detail, I mean, at that point it's like what's even the point because at that point you could be editing yourself. Um so I think
Yeah,
you got to be able to find someone that you can trust to just, you know, hand it off and say, you know, I trust you enough. You know, I got one person in my team where it's like the main guy, like go to. He does almost every single video, and he's, you know, I trust him with everything. If there's ever something that's so like, and usually there's not anything that I'm like, you know, you have to change this. If there is, I tell him. But for the most part, you gotta get the video out. So like, you gotta be working on the next. And it's the thing with content. It's all about speed. It's all about, you know, you gotta keep moving, right? So yeah, when it comes to stuff like that, it's like you always got to be at least focus on finishing the video, finishing the certain goal that you have on a certain project. You don't want to be stuck on something for so long when you could have already finished it.
exactly. And then you can move on to the next thing. Because honestly, the more time you put into something, the more you're going to get burned out on that topic and you're going to want to move to something else. And it's like that sunk that like you've sunk so much time into something, you're like, I have to finish it, but then you get burnout and then it's never as perfect as you want it to. So to me, it's like I can still edit videos. Like my last video I edited myself and it sucks because it took me like I mean, I was grinding for like 6 hours straight to get out this video so I could like have it out just because I needed another video. But it's like I was like, yo, this sucks. I wish I could have handed this off to like my editor. But it's like that's why you gotta have a good schedule where it's like today I'm gonna record a long form, I'm gonna make sure all the audio is good, send it to my editor, or vice versa. So that's kind of what I be realizing is that you need a lot goes into videos. Like a lot of stuff goes. A lot of money you sink into it too.
And I would say when it comes to burnout too, it's usually not even. Sometimes it is just overworking, but I feel like when it comes to content, sometimes it's more like your mind just becomes kind of what's the right word for it? Like when you're making so many decisions with like especially with long form content, then over time you're making so many decisions and it's like decision fatigue almost where it's like I don't even want to think anymore. So I feel like for that situation, you got to be able to make decisions quickly and have a process of like, I know what I want, and then you kind of just like, okay, this is what I want, this is what I want. So you kind of just need to over time develop your own, your own formula for things. Um, okay, so chat, I want to see what chat has to say. If you guys have any more questions, let us know. We're going to continue on with Hime's story because recently, she's been going crazy on short form content. She's having a crazy boom when it comes to a completely different series from One Piece. So we're going to talk about that. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, let us know. Make sure that you like the video or like the stream as well. We got 20 people in here. Let's try to get to 40 likes if we can. That'll help the stream get out to as many people as possible. Share the stream as well. All right, so Chestnut, it's really crazy to see. You've been doing One Piece for a while, but a new series that you've been talking about, and you're getting hundreds of thousands of views in the last couple months. I think really in the last month that I've noticed. And I've never seen the series, right? So, maybe tell us a little bit about the series quickly, but then also, what has this been like for you and your recent success with the series?
Yeah, so this series is really interesting because it's technically like two series. So it's Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel. And this has been around for like a while, but this is like an indie animation project that got picked up by a major studio and released on Amazon Prime and like, had a full 8 episodes of animation. It had a pretty big release. The Living Tombstone was like helping out with the music for it. So this was like an indie project that made it. And so it already had a really massive fan base. Like Vizzy Pop has like 5 million subscribers. The pilot for Has Been Hotel that appeared on her channel on YouTube has 100 million views. But I realized that, a lot of people, they'll make edits or they'll do like, oh, I like this content, but there's only like 2 creators that I've seen like genuinely make short content, and a lot of them don't even make theory content. Like I think that they just kind of look at the subreddit and just be like, oh, here's a fan theory on this, but a lot of people just go over like lore and stuff that we already know. So when I saw that, I was like, there's not really a lot of people talking about it, and I had gotten into the show from the Amazon series because I saw it on Amazon. I watched it and I was like, yo, this is awesome. I like watched all of that. It was like right before the finale was releasing, so I just decided one day I was like, yo, I really want to make a video on this. My channel really wasn't doing very well. And I was like, I'll just make a video and post it and see what happens. And I posted it and it did pretty trash, actually. I was like, whatever. I was in like a little bit of a content slump at that point. Like my videos were only averaging like 5K. Some of them were only getting 3K views, and I was like, whatevs. And then I just made more because I just really liked it. Like I just like really was enjoying the content I was making. And it was really interesting because all of a sudden that first video I posted blew up. I was like, yo, this video has like 100K views. Like what just happened? And I'd made another video, and so I posted that one. And then that one blew up and got like 100K views. And I was like, what's happening? I didn't even realize what was going on. And then I had just been like, okay, so I'll just keep posting until this stops getting over 10K views. And I just kept posting the content, and it just never stopped doing well. And there were times where I was like, oh, maybe it's slowing down, but I've realized that the fan base for it was so hungry for any sort of content, and it's like it already got renewed for a second season, so it's like it already was like had a pre-established fan base. There wasn't a lot of creators, and I just took what I learned from, One Piece YouTube and just transitioned over, and it just did so well. And I was like, damn. And it's crazy because it did really well on not only YouTube, but also on TikTok. And it's crazy because it's like I'll have a video that doesn't do too well on TikTok. Like it'll get like maybe 50K on TikTok, and then on YouTube, 400K views. It does really good on YouTube. And then you know what I mean? Like it does even better on TikTok. So I really spread out with that. And I always want to do One Piece content, but it was crazy because I even posted a One Piece video at a horrible time. I posted it at like 10 at night on a Thursday just to see how it would do. And it did the best out of anything I posted in months for One Piece. And I was like, yo, I think I just got into the algorithm. And it just took me branching out a little bit and just doing something that I was really passionate about, that I had a lot of really good ideas for. I just I just branched out and took a chance, and it worked. So it's been really, really interesting because it's only been 2 weeks since I started doing it. So I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's been kind of crazy.
I mean, so multiple videos were over what 400,000 views. The one I saw was, I think, the biggest one, 2.5 million views, and so it was. I think it was the one of like, and like I said, I don't know anything about this series, so it was about someone's true smile, right? It was like a theory.
Yeah, it was a theory video on like one of the most popular characters in the series is like Alistair, and he's like a lot of people even outside the fandom knew him. Um but it was just I had like a really good theory about it. I don't think anybody's ever even thought about it before. So I was just like, "Yo, this theory is going to be lit." And I posted it, and it was like it has, I think, 1.5 million on TikTok, and then it got 100K on Instagram, and then on YouTube, it's at like 2.5 million right now, which is insane. Like, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and even for me, I'm watching this video and I'm like, yo, this is actually a really good video, especially because I've always liked lore things and theories, and that's just the kind of stuff that I like. So getting into this, I don't know anything about the series, and it was a really well put together video, well explained too. And I mean, I'm even thinking like, yo, this sounds interesting. I might check it out. So, I mean, congrats on that, by the way, and I hope that you keep pushing on. Like I would say for this series, keep doing what you're doing. Like how you said, if it ever starts to die down, you can maybe take a break and then come back to it eventually. But for now, I mean, it seems like you've kind of unlocked something that, yeah, I've never seen anyone in the One Piece community go into another series and then take off like this. So congrats on that for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Preach. Yeah, it was crazy because I just, you know what I mean? I think it's just because like it was so popular at that time, and sometimes like when things get really popular and you hit that immediate like influx of people getting into the series, and you know what I mean, they really see it. Like I'm assuming like during season 2 you're going to see even more people try to get into it. But it's also like I think that especially because I've been grinding for the past 2 years, the transition was really easy, and the fact that I kind of know what's working with editing now, and just figuring out the algorithms, like I was just able to just transition into it, and it's been fantastic. And I've never been happier to actually my content get views.
No, I mean, well, so okay, so you just say you've never been happier, right? Because this is like a big moment, I would say, for you. But are you okay? So, 'cause it's like actually interesting because I feel like some people in your situation would be a little bit, you're happy, but some people will be a little bit like worried, confused, and like, or just like unsure of the future, right? But it seems like so you understand like you're riding this wave for now, and we've talked about it before a little bit on the stream. Is um, you said that you want to kind of like branch out into other things as well, so you have like a game plan, which is I think the most important thing, because when this happens to people, they start freaking out and they're like, oh, if something takes off, sometimes they don't even want to make that content, but sometimes it's like you have to roll with what's working. What do people want to see? And over time, you can kind of branch out into other things. I saw Hidden Island a couple of days ago. He posted a video about One Piece ships, but for the last year, he's been riding the wave of his series that blew up, and now he can kind of make a shift and say, I want to do this video, and now he can do what he wants. But when the most important thing is getting that initial spark that gets you popping out there into the algorithm. How you said, for me, it was like theories, right? Like I made one theory before that was getting hundreds of views, sometimes like 50 views, and when I made one Shanks theory, it started blowing up, and that was my first video that really blew up. So I was like, I'm gonna ride this wave. I like making theories anyways. I'm gonna try this out. And so sometimes you really gotta just like go in and say, if this is working, maybe people really do want to see this type of stuff. Maybe they like my content, and so you kind of gotta have a balance of what do I like to make and what do people actually want. I think that's the most important thing, is like there's different philosophies of it. Just make exactly what you want, but some people say you should make what other people want. But then there has to be, in my opinion, it's a balance. Like
I agree.
if you make a list of like 10 videos that you want to make, and then you pick the ones that you think people want to see the most. That's the way I do it. So you can really like in that situation now you can kind of okay, these 3 videos are at the top of that list now, and it's kind of being selfish but also unselfish. It's like I really am passionate about this, which and also by the way, passion right like that you can really tell. Like I'm watching her video, you can really tell when somebody's passionate when it comes to content. You can tell she wants to talk about this theory. You can tell she loves the series, and that really speaks for itself. When people see your video, they're like, "Yo, she really loves the series. She's really like, she's enjoying making this content." And that on its own makes people really mess with you when they can tell the hard work, the passion. And so when it's something that you're naturally passionate about, you don't have to fake that. And it's like, I think that's one thing with YouTube especially. This is not Instagram, right? This is not like some other social medias. YouTube is at its core being as real and honest as possible. And that's why passion matters so much on YouTube especially. Like on Instagram, you see people faking stuff and, you know, doing stuff for clout. It's a lot of Photoshop stuff. It's a lot different. The whole landscape is different. And the whole point of that social media is different. But on YouTube, I see the biggest YouTubers that pop off. It's like the most real, and like my favorite YouTuber is Tekken, right? Like this guy really is passionate about the series. So yeah, shout out to Hidden Island at 49,000 subs. Let's get him to 50,000, guys. Go subscribe to Hidden Island if you're not. But yeah, what do you think about that? Like I think passion is a very important side, especially on YouTube. What do you think about because I feel like with your videos, if you didn't want to make if let's say you were getting a little bit tired of One Piece, right? You still love the series, but if deep down you're like, yo, I want to still branch out to other series, and people could feel that, right? Like they could feel it in your content.
And yeah, and I think that maybe was the issue with some of my One Piece content is that I would get like, oh, I have like a really good idea like every couple weeks, but after making stuff for like a year and you get into it, and I also think like, and it sucks because like, I did it to myself. I got on Twitter. But I also feel like Twitter really hurt a lot of my love and passion for it because it's like, yo, these people are so mean. You know what I mean? And even like when I make like One Piece, like, and I've kind of noticed like this week, like I did like the One Piece chapter reaction and I had a couple criticisms, but I said that I loved the chapter regardless. People just go and they're just so mean. And I just realized like I feel like a lot of anime fandoms are just so much meaner than like the cartoon fandoms. And it's like I think being in the community for so long and kind of having a lot of that, I feel like my enjoyment and my passion really went down. Um, which is why like when I was making videos, like I was just trying to make them look really glammy and glossy and trying to do it like what do you think other people would like? Like I'm already in this community, like I have to keep making this content. And I feel like when I switched over to Hasbin, like I just loved the series. I was like, yo, I just like really enjoyed this and then I watched Hell of a Boss and I was like, yo, I really also enjoyed this series and there's a huge fandom for it. And it's like I felt like how when I originally started creating content, which I think it is, it's like there's this passion that's behind it. Like when you have a passion to make something and a passion to really rewatch the series multiple times and get into it. And it's like now I not only had that passion again, but I also had the skills that I've been basically like refining
Yeah.
for like 2 years. So I feel like that's probably why my content started like really popping off is because not only did I now have the skills that I've been refining for 2 years, but I had this new passion for something that I feel like with One Piece, I was just like, oh, is this video gonna do well? Like, am I gonna get hate for this? Are people gonna be all pressed about this one again? And it's like, I don't really have to feel that with some other content. And it's like, I made a One Piece video, and like I said, it did fantastic. And I was like, you know what? I was just really passionate about what I was saying, and it did well. And it's like I realized that if I don't have a passion for something, I really shouldn't do it. And I should only make content on things that I really enjoy, but I should also make content on things that are popular. So if something's popular and I enjoy it, make content on it and see how far that goes. And I think that that's what really is helping my channel a lot right now is that I think a lot of people they like how I've been doing it, and it's like I've been refining it too. Like I have a specific voice that I've been putting on for a couple of my shorts, and it's been popping off. Um, so it's kind of like, I'm not like being, I guess, my 100% true, authentic self all the time because, I put on a little bit of a higher tone voice and I talk a lot more clearly and uh, you know, I'm putting on a little bit of a persona, but I feel like people can tell that I truly enjoy the series, and I think that that really does carry through. So,
No,
yeah.
no, no. Trust me. Listen, so every time I talk to somebody, they're like, "Yo, you don't sound anything like in your videos, right?" So I completely understand that. And for me, it took a while to kind of get to the voice that I want in my videos. And I used to get a lot of comments like, "Yo, your videos are fire, but the way you speak in your videos, I don't like it, or it sounds annoying, or it sounds like too boring, or whatever." So I really was like, I'm gonna try to get it as good as possible. And now people always say like, "Yo, I watched your videos a couple years ago, and I see like you improved your speaking voice." So I think that's another thing of like people can notice effort, right? Like you're putting in the effort to make the video as watchable as possible. Like I'm not the best speaker. Like you hear me stuttering, you hear me like slurring my words. I'm not like a clear speaker naturally. When I go and record a video, it's like I go into a different mindset. I'm like I'm gonna make this as clear as possible, as digestible as possible. So it's a different thing when you're making like like an actual video like that. Um, so I see what you're saying, like, but I don't think it changes how real you are. Like, there's only so many people that can like Tekken, bro. Like that's why I think Tekken is the most fascinating for me because he goes on there, puts on his camera, and he just starts rambling on for like 30 minutes, and it's somehow always entertaining. I've tried doing that, and it's just not for me. I mean, you got to find your own path when it comes to content, and some people have different skills, right? Like my skill is not just speaking and just entertaining people just like that. Like I'm not that naturally entertaining, so I was like, I'm gonna make up for it in different ways. I always knew that I was good at writing scripts and writing in general, so that's like a whole different thing that I don't think some other people can do. Um, but yeah, I mean, so someone asked in the chat, what is your most I think it was proud, or I think it was Vex. He said like, what is your let me find it real quick. He said, what is like the most happy moment for you posting a video or some kind of form of content? What was like the most proud content? Was it, I guess for me it was I don't know. Actually, I'll let you go first because I want to think about it real quick. But what about for you? What was your biggest highlight of a video or a stream or some form of content?
So I would say for like short form content, definitely was the Alistair Smile video that hit 1 million views. It is now at like 2.5 million. To have my first video ever get that much views, to have so many people genuinely enjoy that video, to watch it, to share it, it was insane. It still makes me feel like overwhelmed almost that so many people have seen something that I created, and I had a lot of positive comments with that, and then they genuinely enjoyed that. It was a very big moment for me. I was shocked, and I'm still very happy. For a live stream, I would say like probably the biggest highlight is like looking back is like the first podcast I started with Hime. Like when we did our first like Chibi Girls episode and my audio was bad and we were cutting in and out and it was awful. And I look back at that, I'm just like, this content sucks. And but I had so much fun and I wouldn't probably be doing any of that if I never asked her to do a podcast with me. And I learned how to stream because I just remember it was I spent a month trying to figure out Streamlabs. I could not figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to go live. And we sat down one day for like hours and I was like screaming at my computer. And it was awful. And we were both getting really upset at it. But then we ended up doing it. And I look back on that very fondly because I wouldn't be here right now if I didn't take that step.
Now, trust me, I'm horrible when it comes to tech. I mean, I remember there was one time I wanted to start like a podcast or something or a stream. I was trying to do my first stream on YouTube. It was Dak, Sai, and I think Kev, and we're in this like call, and I'm trying to somehow manage to get like my MacBook set up with the stream, and I'm just like, bro, I'm like, bro, an hour and I can't figure it out, and I just felt so bad. I'm like wasting their time and stuff, and so like that was when I was like, yo, I gotta get a PC. But trust me, I am horrible when it comes to technology like that. So I know what you're saying. And that first stream when you come in, it's like, man, it's just like when you're that bad at on the tech side, it's like, yo, We somehow got here. We're somehow here, man. Like we're somehow got everything together, and it's like a proud moment.
Yeah, because you're like, yo, I actually did it. Like it actually works, and it's just it's such a cool feeling.
No, for sure, for sure. For me, I would say my favorite moment, my most proud video might be the Whitebeard video. It's an analysis video on Whitebeard. I would say he's one of my top three favorite characters in the series. Um, and it did blow up eventually. You know, started out pretty slow. I wasn't doing any analysis content at that time, so it took some time to get into the algorithm. And then like you had like the One Piece is real memes going on, and so it really started to take off during that time. So that video was I put a lot of like heart and soul into that one. Like you could feel it. I mean, I get so many people commenting on that. Like that's your best video ever. This video made me cry. So I mean, that one like just from that standpoint of the comments that I got, man, like that video really hits hard. But I think the one that I had the most fun with was I finally solved One Piece after watching Oda's favorite anime, because that video was like it reminded me why I love One Piece so much. Like it brought back that child wonder and just like so much fun researching that video, putting it together. I was so excited to drop it, and I think it was like finding something that I just wanted to share with the entire world. And
Yeah, that video was really good. That's probably like my favorite video that you made because like especially like when you started going through like all the similarities with like off-brand Shanks and like real Shanks, I was like, yo, this is like
yeah, yo, I was mind blown just like getting that comment, and like when I started researching it, like I was like feeling like just my mind being blown in real time, and I remember running up to Wizard of War, like bro, check this out, like I gotta tell you, like just so I was so excited. So like just that whole video, that whole process of making it, it took a while, but like when I finally posted, I was so excited. Um, so yeah, probably that one for me. I think that probably might be my honestly my best video that I've made. Um, but yeah, I mean like so we're talking about the highlights. So I want to go into what is your favorite part of content creation?
that's tough. My favorite part of content creation, honestly, probably just like doing streams with Hime, or like posting a video, like after you like that you know it's gonna blow up or that you know is like super good. Like when you get that feeling of posting a video, you're like, yo, this video is gonna do great. But also, I really enjoy streaming, and doing live reacts, especially with like the One Piece episodes, because we get a good amount of people in there. And then even for like our Tuesday streams, like I love streaming and interacting with people. It's really fun.
Yo, that feeling when you finally post a video, how you said, there's just nothing like it. Like I don't know what it is, but every single time I'm always excited to see people's comments, people's reactions, just to see what people think about it. And when when you got a banger, it's like, yo, I cannot wait to see the reaction. So I would definitely agree that that is like, there's just something addicting about that. And I remember at one point I was like addicted to YouTube. I was like, for every single day, I was spending my entire day on YouTube videos, just so addicted to the process of uploading. Um, but I think also I look back on it, and I never knew anybody that watched One Piece growing up. You know, I had a lot of friends that watched Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, different series, but somehow I never met somebody that watched One Piece. And I never, I got into One Piece kind of later on too, but it wasn't that big where I came from. So it was really fun to finally start meeting people. Like when I started meeting, I think The Evil was the first one that I talked to, and he gave me the time to do a collab with him and stuff, and I always shout him out for that because that really like I felt welcomed into the community, and he was like, "Oh, I see what you're doing, man. Like I see you grinding, I see your videos popping off and everything." So, and at that point, I was like, "Yo, I really like." It was cool to have a community to talk to because where I'm from is like I said, I never really was invested into any internet stuff. I never talked to people. I never commented on anything. I never commented on videos. I always thought that was cringe. So I was never discussing series that I love. I would just talk to it with Ors, my close friends that like maybe they will watch it. But to see that there's so much people that I've met them in real life. I've had conversations with people for hours and hours and hours about One Piece. I think the community that you can kind of build and just like the friends that you make along the way, even if it's about content, even if it's about One Piece, I think those real connections like really they really keep me here, man, because it's like I don't know, it's like when I go on YouTube and I see Chestnut streaming and I drop by and maybe for a few minutes I'm just watching the stream, interacting. I see, maybe like Dak Socket just dropped a video, King of Lightning just dropped a video. Somebody just like it's just always exciting to see what everybody's up to. Um, it just feels like a family. Like, and I'm not the closest with everybody. It's not like a close family, but just I don't know, man. Like just having that whole community with One Piece is nothing like I ever seen before.
No, I feel that. I feel like the One Piece YouTube community is so like nice. Like probably like the best creator community I've ever been a part of. Like they're just so wholesome and there's just so many amazing people. Um and it's like it's hard because like other communities they don't really have the bond that the One Piece community has, which is why like I'll never stop making One Piece content because I would never want to lose the connections I've made in such an amazing community. Um, but yeah, I think that's a really big thing and it's really important. And I think it's just like we're blessed as like One Piece fans to have like such amazing like YouTubers be at like the top.
It's crazy, man. Like it's actually crazy. Like I don't know. Like I never when I got into this stuff, I never really thought I would have like real friends and stuff. I always thought like, oh, this is like just like typical content creation, like clickbaity. Like, we're just doing it for cloud. We're just kind of just doing collabs just because. But a lot of these people like I really mess with them, man, and I really like I could really trust them if I have to, especially with like OPU. I talk to these guys every week for like 2 years. So it's like I never expected I would have a true bond with certain people. Meeting you guys out in Anime NYC. I don't know, man. It's just like I never even expected anything like this. So, all right. So that's like the positives, and we're gonna wrap up in a few minutes. But what is like the worst thing that you could think of? We talked about the hate comments. Is there anything different, or is that the worst part of it?
I think okay, so this is actually because it's not like the worst part, but it is something that I do want to talk about because I have tried it before, and I think it's something that a lot of people they won't admit to trying it. So I have used the promote features for applications. Like I've used the TikTok promote. Why? Because I spent like I had money already from a live. I spent money on it, and when I first did it, it was like really good. I was like, yo, I'm getting so many views, like I'm doing all of this, and then all of a sudden I had everyday TikTok promote coupons, and I realized that my views were going down, and I was like, yo, what the hell is happening? And so like sometimes I'd be like, well, whatever, I have enough money, I'll just pay for a promote, right? And I got into this thing where it's like I really wasn't spending a lot of my money on it. But it was like every so often I'd pay for a promote and it would do really well, but all my other videos were doing bad. And I was like, what's happening? And then I realized that every time you pay for a promote, it hurts your actual algorithm and you mess up your algorithm. So, and that's probably why my content for One Piece wasn't doing as well because it was like doing really good. Like, I mean, like my content was getting up to like 10K views, 15K views, and like a lot of my older One Piece content that had been in the algorithm before was like getting like 40K, 30K. I was like, yo, this is awesome. Like my content is doing so well. I messed it all up because I paid to promote, and it's something that they were like, yo, you have these coupons, like you can just buy it. It's like, yo, you could get 50, like 5,000 views and all of these followers if you just pay like $5. And I'm like, I have $5. I could do that. You know what I mean? And they get you into this thing where it's like they want creators to do it. Now, I have recently used a promote on TikTok, but it was only because TikTok has been constantly flagging me for copyright issues. And what happens is that sometimes if I pay for a promote and then cancel it, the copyright issues go away. But this time it didn't work, so I'll never pay for it again. Especially because now I'm in the algorithm, so it's like I just have to like fight multiple copyright issues, which is like horrible. I hate fighting like content like that because it's like I know that I'm under fair use, and all I do is I spam them fair use law and they restore my content. But it's like paying for promote and like being a creator and having like that, oh, you can pay to promote and you can do all this stuff. It's like never do that. It's not worth it. It doesn't help. It doesn't fix your algorithm. In fact, it hurts your algorithm a lot more than it helps it. The only place where I hear that it helps is Facebook, but Facebook sucks.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, definitely like copyright issues, copyright strikes. unoriginal content claims from TikTok, and then the promote features that they push on like every application. Never pay to promote. It can literally cause the death of like channels.
It's interesting. Like I definitely notice it more on TikTok. Like on TikTok, you can like it feels like they push it way more. I don't know if that's true, but on YouTube, you can find it. Like if you're a creator, you can find it in like the settings. But I feel like on TikTok, it's like yo, like they're like really like putting it out there. But that is interesting. Like so when you pay for views, then next thing you know, it's like these people don't ever come back, right? And it's like it's kind of like what's the point of it if they're not going to be real viewers long term?
Exactly. And that's the big thing. Like you can pay and I think it's so devious for TikTok to do is that basically what they do to smaller creators is that they say, "Yo, we'll show your content to people who are probably going to follow you if they see your content." And you're like, "Oh, cool." And then you're like, "Oh, you can get it for $2." And you're like, $2 for like 100 followers, and then your stuff gets pushed and your video gets like, you know what I mean, like 10K views, and then it gets like even more views after that. You're like, yo, this is crazy. And you pay for it because you're like, yo, it's a promotion they're running for like Christmas or something. Like everybody's doing it. They're pushing it. And then you do it and you get a bunch of followers. And then all of a sudden, like a month later, you lose like 100 followers, and you're like, what's happening? And you realize that
Mm.
what TikTok is doing is that they're botting, and you're just paying for them to like, oh, hey, look, this worked this time, try it again unless you want to lose stuff. And it's like it's so devious because they'll give you like advertisements, and I've had like when I was like in like doing it and they were trying to get me to pay for more, I had like 500 advertisements at least, like, hey, come do it. They would send me promote things. I'd get emails from them, and it's like they want you to pay for content. They want you to pay to promote because it's how they make the most money.
Yo,
Um,
that is insane, yo. Like that is like, yo,
and, and it gets the thing is it gets to you because you're a content creator and you're sitting there and you're like, yo, all of these other big content creators are probably taking the money that they have and paying to promote, and that's how they're doing big. And it's like, nah, 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 nah. They're not doing that. Don't pay to promote because it'll destroy your content. There's also the thing like don't really make sponsored content like with like the TikTok sponsorships, like the TikTok shop. That sucks. You want to just do like actual sponsored content where you have links that go back to stuff.
mm,
But yeah, it's the way that TikTok be making money and be trying to do it, and it's not on YouTube yet. It was on Instagram, but they got rid of it. But TikTok is the big one right now where it's like and Instagram is starting to push that again. Every time I post a video, pay to promote? No. Because if you pay to promote, it
yo.
destroys you. But they will advertise that to you. They
So
will push that to you. It is ridiculous.
yeah, because that's bad. Because if let's say you don't know anything, right? Like if you don't know anything, and you're just like, oh, like I'm gonna trust the platform. It's the platform's promotion. It's not like you're not botting from a third party where it's like where it's a little bit different. You would like you think you could trust the platform to get you into the algorithm, and if you're going to them straightforward, it's like a little bit different. But the fact that it's almost worse to like well, either way, I would say botting is always going to be bad in this exact reason because how you said they're not real. They're not real people. They're
Yep.
not real fans, and it is going to mess up your algorithm. But the fact that it's like if you do it from the beginning, you're basically, I mean, yeah, you're destroying your channel, and so I guess what would be the best advice, right? Like push through that, or would it be to make a new channel?
So, if you look at like my content from like December, right? My December content got like the worst views I've ever gotten in like my whole content creation like career, unless like when I first started posting and they were getting like 500 views. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm having trouble getting like 1,000 views. And I realized I was like, I messed up my algorithm. Like, I messed it up because I bought into TikTok's thing. And so you just need to push through. You can save any channel by posting consistently good content. And that's what I did. Because my views had started to go back up before like the has been stuff. Like, my views were like getting even more follow like more attention and stuff. And I was like, I had just started to break out in January of like the TikTok algorithm jail because they want you to pay to promote. So it's like I made that mistake and it was the dumbest thing I've ever done. I shouldn't have done it. I think what also helped me with the algorithm push is that I got into like a bunch of drama And drama unfortunately drives views. It's not the best thing to do, but for me, it's kind of like the United States economy, Great Depression, and then World War II, right? Where it's like I was I had done something stupid. I was in my Great Depression era, and then I got into like a war online, and unfortunately, it actually helped my algorithm quite a bit, and I had a lot of eyes and attention on me, and I was able to work through it. Um, so I wouldn't say get into drama if you ever did it. I would say just consistently post content and make things that'll get attention, because you'll eventually break through it. But yeah, don't fall into the mistake of that. It sucks.
Yeah, I would say like drama when it comes to me is like, yo, I'm almost always gonna be cool with everybody. There's only been 2 times where I had to like get involved with certain things, and this, and I try to keep that stuff on Twitter because I feel like for me it's just like that's what I've always seen is, you keep drama on Twitter. It's just a place to just basically a place to Twitter beef, right? Like that's the way I see it if it ever comes to it. But I agree, like drama is like it sucks the fun out of it. It's like, and it's a lot of times it's what I've done in the past is I try to give people a chance. Like, can you explain what's going on here? Um, and if they can't, then then it just goes to the next thing. But I think you should at least give people a chance to explain their situation because you really don't want to be involved in a 3 day drama where it's like taking up your entire time and energy. It just I don't know, man. It's looking back on those situations. I mean, sometimes I just feel like they aren't necessary when it comes to it, but you spend a lot of time and energy when you could be working on a video. You could be doing something more productive. Um, yeah, drama is not fun. But luckily for me, I've been cool with a lot of people, and I've been even there's one person I had drama with. You know, we're cool now, and we've patched things up, and we're good. So, I mean, it's usually a misunderstanding, and people got different sides to the story. So, if you don't have to, don't blow it out of proportion. Because it can get crazy. It can get crazy.
That's like the big thing, bro. Like I've realized like, you know, sometimes like because I would have like people like do stitches of me, right? Or like I would do a stitch of somebody. I've realized like if somebody like if you're gonna talk about a popular topic, keep it as anonymous as possible. Like do not stitch on TikTok, you can do stitches. Don't do that. It's not worth it. It gets you a little bit more views, but at the same time, then you're like directly beefing with somebody, and it's like it is just not worth it. Just keep it anonymous. Like don't get into it because then it just bites you in the butt. And the other thing I realize is that if somebody makes a video on you and you don't like it, ignore it. Like don't talk about it because if you go and publicly talk about it, it creates even more drama. And there are people who will egg you on to say certain things, and you're like, yo, like yeah, this person did this, and it's like maybe they're bad, and it's like they just want to see the drama. They want to see people get into drama. They want to see you get into drama because it's entertaining for them. And I got into drama recently with somebody, but we were able to like go on Discord and patch it up. And he told me like, yo, when you like, I saw the comments, they were egging you on to say that. And I was like, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. And you know what? And I went on a rant because I was upset at a video he made, but he gave me some good advice. And he was like, don't go and talk about something because people will see, people will send it, people know who you're talking about, like, and people want to see you get into drama. They want to see big content creators fight. So you just have to ignore it, and you just have to make sure that you're staying professional. And it was really good advice to like. I was like, yo, you're right. Like, just because I go on a live stream and there's like 50 people doesn't mean, or even if there's like 100 people, like, and I'm not making a video that's getting thousands of views, like, people are gonna see that, and they're going to send it, and there's going to be people who will, it's widespread. There is a digital footprint, and it's like I've realized this where it's like, you know don't make disrespectful content. Just keep your head down, make your own content, and you will succeed. And once I started doing that, I have been doing really well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're gonna if you're gonna see, there's a difference of like commenting on what somebody does or whatever. But I think I agree. Like, don't make it disrespectful, right? Like, you can throw like a little like jab and say, oh, this guy, I have an issue with something he did, right? Like, I've called people out on certain things I disagree with. You know, I've done it before in the past, but the thing is, I don't have issues with them, and they don't have a problem with me because at the end of the day, when I'm putting something out on the internet, right? So now everybody can see it, and everyone can have an opinion on it if they want to, right? Like, if I do something, now everyone can comment on it, and that's what you do when you put something online, right? So when you're putting it out there, you're gonna have to expect certain reactions, certain people to disagree and agree. But the thing for me is like, don't make it disrespectful, because then you're putting yourself where it's like I said, I'm not used to this whole like internet thing. So when I see like somebody throw a personal shot and it's like a disrespectful thing, that's like, to me, that's not even like anything to do with my content or my video. That's coming straight at me. So that's when it's like, it's a little bit different. But so if you got, if I can avoid that, I've never done personal shots, especially like, because it's like, bro, like what are you doing? Like, you can critique their content, you can even have a conversation with them. Like, look, like with Dex Sake, I've had disagreements with him on like theories or whatever, but never becomes a disrespectful thing. It never becomes a, I'm attacking him personally, how he looks, his content, like his worth ethic. Like, I'm not doing that. So you can always have disagreements and debates, and usually, like, if you disagree with somebody, you can, people are understanding. Like, Chestnut, we've had arguments on the OPU podcast, and it was, there's nothing negative came out of it. It's just, that's kind of the way of the internet. Is going to always, people are always going to disagree with you on certain things.
Yep. And you know what? Sometimes you just got to take it with stride. And that's the most important thing.
All right. So, any last questions in the chat? I don't know if we've gotten any recent ones, but I'm going to check real quick. Yeah, people do love the drama. Yep, they do love drama. I mean, it's entertaining, man. What can I say? It is entertaining. There's no denying that. I think the diversity amongst theorists and reactors just shows what a huge series One Piece is, and how media can bring people together. It must be daunting putting theories out there. Respect, guys. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I mean, I love making theories. I love doing this content. So for me, it's just, I've always just had fun with it. I would say one more thing I'll say real quick. So Chestnut, like, she said her own situation, right? With how she, sometimes comments can get to you, right? And for me personally, this is just my own personal perspective. I honestly don't care what anyone thinks of me, right? When it comes to content, when it comes to my videos, like, you can critique me. If I see something that's truly criticism, that's like trying to make me better, I'll take it into account. There's something about my mind is like, I don't know what it is. I've just never cared what like some random guy on the internet thinks. It might go back to like how I said, like, I just, sometimes I'm like, bro, are these people even real? Like, they just have some crazy ways of speaking on the internet. And sometimes, like how you said, you don't even, you even said, you sometimes think like these aren't even real people, like the way they're behaving. So I don't know. For me, it's never been something that gets to me. Seeing criticisms or, just people just hating for no reason. I usually just dislike the comment and move on. But most people are not built like that. Like, most people, like, it will get to you over time. I've had to tell Wizard of Wars, like, bro, like, why are you arguing with some random guy in the comments, right? Like, he's just like, you're stooping down to their level. So I would say, if you can, just completely disregard it and just realize like these guys just, if you have the time out of your day to make a negative, hateful comment, I mean, I can't take it serious. So that's the way I've always seen it. I've always been someone, like, mentally, I'm just like, I really don't care too much about what people think about me. But I know most people are not like that. I guess, like, secure with like certain I don't even know if like security is the right word. I don't know what the right word for it is, but yeah, guys, just push through it, man. And everybody in here who wants to do content, trust me, you guys could definitely do it. I mean, if you ever go back to my old videos, you can see how bad my content was. I want to keep doing these streams with different people just to, give back to the community, inspire you guys. If you guys ever have a specific question, you can hit me up. If it's quick, right? Like I said, I don't have too much time to be going into paragraphs and like kind of coaching you guys through every little detail. But yeah, I'm really thankful for Chestnut coming on the stream. We had a great conversation, and if you guys ever, make sure you guys go and subscribe to her channel. Make sure that you guys go support her as well. She streams every week, right? Well, you stream every week, right?
Yeah, we stream every Tuesdays at 6:30, and then we do our chapter reacts, and then we always stream on Saturdays 10:15 for the One Piece episode, if there's an episode.
Yeah, and the stream was supposed to be like an hour or 2 hours before, but I had some personal things come up, and she was still flexible, so I really appreciate your time.
Of course, bro.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you guys next time we do one of these streams, we'll do OPU on Thursday. As I think we got a big guest coming this week, so I'm excited for that, and we'll see you guys next time.